Hello everybody, my name is Richard Vigorelli and this is the Vigorelli Institute. Now before we get started, there's something I want to show you. This is a t-shirt that I have designed from my series, A-Strap Labs Genetic Testing in a Flash. That is the business owned by Dorian Astrapios from my novel series that I have written and am currently in process of publishing and writing. If you would like something like this or other stuff, such as the cover art that you can actually hang on your wall or even work as a puzzle, go to my website, vimandvigorelli.com. The link will be in the description. Now, on with the video. So, as I promised you guys, I'm going to be telling you some ghost stories in honor of the season. I've already got 2 videos in the can. One is explaining what a haunting actually is, and the other is telling some stories that have actually happened to me here around Murfreesboro since I've moved here. Okay? Now, this one is going to be about some stuff that's happened to me in Nashville. Buckle in, kids, this one's going to be a long one. Now, I tried to go into Nashville to film this, but it was so freaking noisy, and people kept going, "Hey, dude, what you doing?" It was impossible to film. Drove me crazy. So, here we go. Now, I came across all of this information, at least the location of these, because of my secondary job. Very first job that I ever got here in Tennessee, tour guide. Okay, giving a haunted tour downtown in the Broadway area. Okay, so we start off at a place called Printer's Alley, specifically a bar there called the Rainbow Room. Opened its doors first time 1948, owned by a guy named David Skull Schulman. The building has been there since Civil War, maybe Reconstruction era, something like that. It's one of the oldest parts of the city. Okay. Now, before Mr. Schulman owned it, it was a brothel. Not a good place, but it was pretty inside. Lots of expensive stuff. People died there. Now, after the city shut it down, after a revivalist movie, if you don't know what that is, Google it. The mob got control of it during Prohibition. Guy moved in. Okay, and was a banker up on the 2nd floor. Now, as gang violence is often to do, he didn't make it. Okay? Now, I was doing the tour there back in mid-February of this year. That'd be 22, by the way. And a mother and daughter were standing beside me. They looked up at the 2nd floor, which was the bank. I hadn't told them this, and they gasped. Okay? I looked up there, of course, just in time to see absolutely nothing, and I asked him, "What did you see?" Said, "Well, we saw a guy. He was wearing a fedora and a suit. He was looking out the window at me." Now, that day, I had actually gone into the Rainbow Room. It is a functioning establishment at this time. It's not exactly cheap as far as food goes. I believe it's got $4 signs on it on the Google reviews. But, you know, it's not the most expensive stuff, but higher end. Anyway, I was getting a drink of water, and I was talking to the crew about it, and they said, "Yeah, there's a guy upstairs on the 2nd floor. He's got a fedora, a suit, and a Tommy gun." I said, "Really?" "Yeah." See, this is how I learned that the mob owned it. Okay. Said the guy that's up there used to be the banker. And there was a shootout there at some point. He took some heat, and bye-bye. Well, apparently he's still up there. So, all right. Now, there's another spot that I go to. It is the remnants of the bombed-out spot in Nashville. On Christmas Day of 2020, a cherry on the top of that year for Nashville, believe me. A crazy guy showed up with an RV full of high explosives and set it off in front of some restaurants. It's on 2nd Avenue. Okay. And I took quite a few of them out, firebombed it, actually. Okay, you can go there, and doesn't look great. Okay, I go there at least once a week for my tours. Now back in January, when I very first started doing the tours, it was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I stopped in. Okay, my jaw was on the floor from the amount of destruction from it. Okay, only, a little bit over a year later. And I saw 2 people moving around in the debris. I figured, some homeless people had gotten in. What else is new? Crafty. And I looked again. One of the people was clearly female. Okay, and she was wearing short shorts. Now, it was, I'd say 25 degrees outside. High humidity, so a bit chilly. Okay? There's no way that, a cute little 20-something blonde or teenage blonde would be wearing short shorts in that environment. Okay? I don't care what the little tootsies do when they're going clubbing down on Broadway. Okay? Also, her legs were kind of fuzzy. Okay? So I said, hey! They turned around and faced me. Okay? Now, what I tell my tours is they then disappeared. Didn't actually happen that way. Okay? They disappeared later. Okay? So they actually walked over to the fence to me. Okay? And the girl gripped around with her hands, the chain link fence. Said, "Who are you?" I said, "My name's Richard." She said, "You can see me?" I said, "Yeah." "What are you doing here?" She said, "I can't leave." I said, "Why can't you?" "I don't have anywhere to go." So I said to her, "Well, is that your boyfriend?" She said, "Yeah." "Do you love him?" "Not anymore." I said, "Okay, then what? Then you need to cross over." "Cross over? I don't understand." Said, "Hun, you're dead. You've been dead for probably 30, maybe even 40 years. Okay? You could have gotten a new body by now." So I said to her, "What I want you to do is I want you to think about the brightest light you can, and I want you to walk into it." Her boyfriend started yelling at me, by the way. He did not like that. By the way, he was completely in shadow. Okay? I just silenced him, and I said, "Do it, please." Okay? So she did, and she faded away in light. He was livid. Stomped off back into the debris, and a few people have seen him since then, but that's what we got. Okay? Now, about a 2-minute walk down the street is a place that used to be called the Benchmark. It is door number 117, I believe. It's on 2nd Avenue. And it used to be, it's pretty much always been some kind of restaurant or bar or something like that, okay? Now on the top floor, where back when it was open before COVID hit, that was where they would have extra seating, but it used to be an apartment, okay, and 2 people lived up there. Names were Jerry and Margaret. They did not get along at all. They fought constantly. And one of the things that happened was they'd be late on the rent because, they weren't sleeping. Margaret was an alcoholic. Lots of issues there, okay? So Jerry takes off for work one morning, and landlord goes up to the apartment, knocks on the door, and says, "Hey, Margaret, where are you?" Okay. Now, the door to the apartment was just right off the bar, so it led to a stairwell that went up to the actual living area. Okay. So, knocks on the door. Margaret doesn't answer. She should have. She was a stay-at-home wife. Okay. And manager said, "All right, I'm going to leave him a note." Okay. Opens the door and sees Margaret's body. She's dead. Okay. Sorry if this is triggering, kids. Now, Jerry was arrested on suspicion of murder, and he got acquitted because of Margaret's alcoholism, the fact that she could have just fallen down the stairs on her own. Okay. Well, about 2 weeks after that, weird stuff started to happen down in the bar. People would hear a woman yelling, okay, but they couldn't make out the words, and it was kind of that hush whisper yell, like that, okay? And they'd turn around, and there wouldn't be anybody there. So it always happened behind them. They couldn't see it, okay? Things would also move, things would break, be hot spots, cold spots, standard ghost stuff, okay? Thing is, it would escalate whenever there was a change in the restaurant, okay? Well, people attributed this to Margaret. And quite a few of the owners, they would only occupy the space for a short amount of time before, it just became too unnerving for them to be there. So they left, okay? So it kept passing. This would always spike the activity, okay? Well, Benchmark opened up a few years ago, and it closed, I believe, last summer in 21 due to COVID. Lots of stuff happened there. The people that used to run the tour that I do would go in there and they'd get pictures all the time, stuff crawling up, banging sounds coming off of the stairwell, okay? Well, back in February when I was doing my tour, I was there with a pack of ladies. They were doing a bachelorette party, and they, wanted scary stories from Mr. Pretty. Okay, so, I took them around to this, and we could hear banging sounds coming from inside the establishment. Now, the place right now is completely abandoned. There's not even a bucket in there, okay? There's nothing, okay? And they all heard it, and then we heard fingernail taps on the windows of the door, okay? Like somebody was going, like, I'm here, like that. Now, in the corner of my eye, as I was standing, here's the door, okay? And here's the girls, okay? Panels, okay? I saw the face of a woman. She was about 5'6", I'd say no older than 35, kind of reddish brown, more brown, curly hair, all wavy, I would say, came to about her shoulders. I actually thought she was really quite pretty, okay? I turned to her and I said, "Margaret, I believe you." She said, "Thank you." Then she disappeared, okay? One of the things that I noted about her also is not just her looks, but the fact that she was wearing a choker, okay? And had a lock on it. Now, other people, before they walled off that door that would come through on my tours, would say that she was also wearing a belt, okay? And it's also got a lock on it, okay? That means she's a captive, okay? Now, other people have mentioned that there is another presence in that business. It has been described as masculine and unfriendly, okay? And tends to have burning white eyes, which I find terrifying, okay? My impressions of it, because I've come across it too, is this thing is definitely not human, okay? It is something else, not exactly, shall we say, in the light, okay? I do believe that is what caused this haunting, that somehow that thing got in there and it's just gained power. From what I can tell, it likes picking on women, which he and I now have an issue, okay? One of my other guides, I was training the guy, and it was right after they walled it off. He went in there and he said, he just kind of whispered, "Margaret, I'm going to get you out." And a wasp flew out and stung him. Okay, I actually watched it happen. Now we did that for his test, so I said, "All right, I think you're good. I think you're good to lead. I'll go ahead and stay with you in case you get lost." Okay, and we did a tour together. Okay, so he comes over to it, and he whispers to the door, "I am back." Another wasp flew out, stung him on the arm again. Now the good news is this guy's not allergic to bees, thank God. Okay, but it doesn't like him. So to get her out is going to require some significant intervention. Okay, I would need some help if I was going to do it. Okay. All right, so let's walk down the street a little bit. As far as that goes, we're going to go to the next one on the list is a place called Merchants, okay? It's a restaurant. The building has been there since, I'd say, the antebellum era, so the 1850s, early 1860s, Okay. Back then it was originally built as a hotel for Nashville, and through the years it became a pharmacy, and now it's a restaurant. Okay. Well, during the Civil War, there was a lady that worked there. Her name was Georgia, and she had a boyfriend. His name was Charlie. Okay. Now, Charlie was a Confederate soldier, and he went to the war, and the two of them actually corresponded. Okay. As effectively as they could. Towards the end of their correspondence, near the end of the war, her letters took on a very, very angry, very, very lonely tone, saying, you know, he was a liar, he was cheating on her, stuff like that. You can actually go to Merchants and read them. They're up on the 3rd floor, and we'll get to the 3rd floor. Trust me, lots of stuff going on up there. Okay, so he comes back, and comes back from the war, says, hey, I never cheated on you, I love you, I want to marry you, etc. And she calls him a liar and kicks him out. So he goes back to his room and engages in self-deletion. Yes. Okay. Well, very, very sad. Okay. Up until January of this year, when I first entered Merchants, and the whole reason I was there was because I wanted to know my route, and it was like, well, let's try the food, you know. Maybe I can recommend it, give people a good recommendation. So I go in there. I order a double meat, double cheese, a house popcorn, by the way, to die for, and a glass of water, okay, because, you know, I was going to be busy. I didn't want to be mildly inebriated from beer, okay. So I'm sitting there eating, and this guy in Confederate gray sits down across the table from me. No older than, I'd say 20. Handsome, sandy brown hair. No, sandy blonde, excuse me. Kind of greenish eyes, I guess you could say. Quite handsome, actually. Handsome young chap. And we sit down, we have a conversation. I asked him, do you know that you're dead? He said, yeah. Why don't you cross over, dude? I said, because I can't. I need her to know me. I need her to know that I'm serious. I said, buddy, what year is it? He said, what are you talking about? What year is it? Look at the way I'm dressed. Look at the way everybody else is dressed. He looks around, and he says, well, last time I checked, it was 1866. I said, son, it's 2022. You died more than 150 years ago. Okay? Georgia's dead. Her kids are dead. Her grandkids are dead. Her great-grandkids are probably dead. Okay? Give it up. Be a man. Cross into the light. And at that point, he hit the table. I watched his fist slam down. The table actually shook. My water actually shook. I said to him, no, buddy, listen to me. I'm talking to you man to man, okay? Is this getting you anywhere? And he just kind of looked at me. I said, go into the light. Trust me, you're better off. So I just watched, and this flash of light came up from behind him and just kind of enveloped him, and then it dissolved. So about 2 weeks later, I'm laying in bed, and I'm sleeping. It's about, I'd say probably about 2 a.m. And I have a dream where I'm walking along on a country road. Okay? It's right here in Tennessee. And coming up on my left is I guess you could say a plantation house. Okay? It's got the porch, really nice, very, very nice stuff. And it was raised up a little bit, and I see this guy. He's got sandy brown hair, kind of young, and he's standing there with a very beautiful young woman with red hair. Okay, and he yells out, "Richard!" I look up and I'm like, "Excuse me? Richard! Charlie!" Okay, so, and I was, "Oh my God, Charlie!" So he runs down, okay, wraps his arms around me, gives me a big hug, and he says, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Young woman walks up. She's wearing a very, very nice dress, okay? And sandals, I believe it was, and he takes me by the shoulder and says, "Hey, this is Georgia. She waited for me. Thank you, my friend." I said, "You're welcome, ma'am. It's lovely to meet you." She says, "Thank you for bringing him back." I'm getting a little misty-eyed here. Second time that's ever happened to me. I'll tell you the first one later. Okay, so let's go back to merchants. Okay. By the way, I woke up. I was crying from happiness. By the way, and gratitude for everything that he got to have. So back at merchants, the same day, one of the waiters had walked past me. She had seen me talking to this guy. Now, everybody that works at merchants has met Charlie. Okay, they've seen him, they've felt him, they've talked to him, etc. Okay, so she knew exactly what was going on. She knew exactly what I was. And she said, so she walked over to me and said, "So, how was your lunch?" I said, "It was really good." And I could tell she was a little nervous. Okay, so I said, "Is there a way that I could get up to the third floor?" She said, "Yeah, come with me." So I paid my bill, and I went to the hostess stand. Okay. Now, what I didn't tell you is when I had walked in there, I had looked up the third floor because I knew what I should have seen. That is somebody dangling by a rope, going like this. I saw it. Holy crap. Okay, we'll get to why. So I go over to the hostess stand, and I say, "I'd like to see the third floor, please." She said, "Why?" I said, "Because I saw your friend up there." She goes, "Oh. Okay. Right this way, sir." Leads me to the elevator, and we go up there. Management is already up there. Okay, I guess she said, "Hey, somebody's coming up." That's where the management offices are, and also a secondary kitchen and a banquet hall. So he explains to me the history of the place and clears up a few of the missed spots in my script. Okay, so I'm like, okay, cool. So I go in there, and it is 20 degrees cooler in this one section, okay? And I'll explain why in a second. And there's a kid standing there. He's kind of blotched out and dressed in period clothes. We're talking like 1920s working class, okay? He's got dark brown hair and blue eyes. And I ask him, "What's your name?" He says, "Alex." I said, "Okay, Alex, nice to meet you. My name's Richard." He said, "Why are you here?" And I could feel the back of my neck get cold. Okay, very, very cold. Only the back of my neck. And I'm wearing a coat at the time. Okay, so it's winter. And I'm getting cold. Okay, I'm inside. I'm getting cold. And trust me, the air conditioning was functioning properly. Okay. So I sit down with him and I say, "Listen, kid. You're dead." He said, "No, I'm not." "No, I'm not. You people keep coming in here and bothering me." I said, "Really? Okay, so that's what you're going to go with, huh? All right. What year is it?" He said it was 1923 or 1923 or 1924. I said, "Son, it's 2022. You're more than 100 years out." Okay. He said, "Oh, you're lying." You know, he was one of those typical teenagers, thinks he's right and perfect and all that. Okay. I said, "No, listen to me, okay? When was the last time you had a really good steak?" "Well, I don't know." "Okay, when was the last time you took a really good dump?" "Saw a pretty girl." "Talk to your dad." Okay, and he just kind of sat there, and he was at awe. Okay, and I said, "Listen, bud, okay, this ain't doing you any favors, okay? You're freaking people out. You need to cross over." He said, "Well, how do I know that you're not the one that's dead?" I said, "Because I'm alive. See? Touch my hand. Okay? I can touch the table. Go ahead, touch the table, touch my hand." He reached out and did that, passed right through it. He passed through the table and he goes, then he disappeared. Okay. So here's how we got there. Back in the 20s, Merchants was a pharmacy, and the third floor was the manufactory for the drugs that they sold locally and the warehouse. Okay. Now the guy that owned it, his son, apparently his name's Alex, was a stock boy. Okay, so kid had gone up there middle of January or so, maybe December, and to do some inventory or something. Back then, there wasn't any kind of central heating or central cooling or anything like that, so it was frickin' cold. Okay, I don't know if you've ever been to Nashville in the winter. It gets chilly. Okay. Well, this kid had some mental issues, not unlike a lot of the people you see nowadays. He was not sane. Okay. Well, he decided to engage in self-deletion, and he did so with a rope. Okay, he swung there for 10 minutes, okay, until he was cut down. Now, the way it would manifest is you'd go up there, and there would be a rush of cold, okay, like a draft, but only on the back of your neck. Okay, everything else is fine, very unnerving, and it was also very sudden. That's him. Okay, another way. And this has happened on numerous occasions, I'm living proof of it, people would look up at the third floor corner window by the cross street. They're off Broadway and they'd see a guy swinging, okay, by a rope. Okay. Now, I crossed him over, and I have been back a few times since. I double check I did it for about 2 months. I would pop in and say hello, and just to see if there were any problems, if third floor was still weird or anything like that. I said, no, we haven't had anything. Even sightings of Charlie have disappeared. They still got something going on there, though, and I don't know what it is. Said that down in the basement, somebody will throw stuff, and also in the kitchen, things will move. Like, you'll actually be able to watch them slide. Okay. Some people say it's still Charlie there. I know that's not the case, so I think there's another two, but we'll see. Okay. Now, let's pop over to another spot called the Ryman. Okay, very, very interesting place. It was originally built as a church, and it was right now it's an entertainment venue. In fact, right after the guy that built it, his name was Thomas G. Ryman, died. After he had opened it up as a church, the guy that converted him to Hellfire and Brimstone style Christianity converted it into a theater. I know. He didn't like that. Okay. So whenever I do my tour there, I got about a 60% chance of the doors rattling or the lamp flickering. It's on the Fifth Avenue side, right across from what's called the Assembly Hall. Those two entry doors. Yeah, it's actually the back of the stage. Okay. Kind of freaks people out a little bit when that happens. I have been inside, and I did get to see a spirit in there called the Gray Man, Civil War vet. Okay, he probably died at the hospitals. Okay, I noticed a couple of holes in him. Okay, and I actually had the chance to talk to him. I told him he was dead, and I'm not sure if he got the message or not. I'm fairly certain he did and crossed, but we'll see. Okay. But things are about to get a little bit more scary here, and I'm pushing 30 minutes. So, all right, we're about 3-4 blocks away is an old hotel. Okay, it is called the Hermitage Hotel. It's been there easy 100 years. Okay, probably more. It's Nashville's very first high-end hotel. This is where rich people would stay. Right now, if you want to stay there, it's $400 a night for the slow time. Peak times, you're looking probably $800, no problem. Okay. So, again, on my very first day, when I was learning my route, because I had to teach myself, I went there. It was about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday in January. Sun's starting to get a bit low there, guy. And I go in, okay, and I'm walking along. It's like, it's just some opulent hotel. I didn't really figure anything out, so I snuck up to the 9th floor, okay, where something is supposed to happen, okay. Now, what happens up there is if you stay the night on the 9th floor, you'll get woken up at about midnight by a baby crying, okay? everybody that calls down to the front desk complains of this, and front desk says, no, there's no baby up there, shut up, go to sleep. Okay, you're hearing things. Well, one night, a few decades ago, front desk was like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Okay, so they tell the person, meet me in the hallway. Okay, so front desk and the guest meet in the hallway. They can both hear it, and they track it down to room 910. Okay, and this is according to my notes. Okay, they open the door, and there's a lady standing there. She's rail thin. She's holding a baby, and they disappear. Okay, now what happened? How that lady got there is a young couple had gone through what is called a shotgun wedding. That's where you were forced to get married because, well, you did something you shouldn't have. Okay, and he knocked her up. Okay, so they got married. They were not ready. They were not ready to be mom and dad. They had no idea what they were doing. They decided to stop in. I guess they were on their way back to like Alabama or something, or Kentucky. I don't know. They were passing through. Okay, it's been about mid-1950s. Okay, had a huge fight. Okay, now the kid, now anybody who's raised a baby knows if you are upset, that kid's going to be upset too. Well, the husband went downstairs to cool himself off at the bar. Wife stayed upstairs with the kid. Okay, she didn't know what to do with this screaming infant. So she took out a pillow and made him stop. And then she attempted to fly out the window. Sorry, I have to clean that up for YouTube. Very sad. Okay. So I go up there back in January this year. And that floor is under renovation. Nobody's staying up there. Okay. There's marks on the wall of, okay, you know, numbers and figures and all this. And okay, we're going to do this. We're going to cut this. Yada yada yada. Okay, and I'm looking around because I wanted to see, you know, am I telling people the truth? Okay. So I look for room 910. I figure, you know, I'm going to knock on the door, see if I get a knock back. I'm going to try and open it, go in, see what I can see. And there isn't one. Okay, so I'm walking around, I'm looking for this. I'm like, well, maybe the numbers are just wonky. So I walk all the way to one end of the hall, and I find room 901. Okay, so I'm like, well, maybe that's it. Maybe it's a typo. Okay, and all the time I'm getting this feeling like somebody's watching me. Okay, so I'm walking around, and I pass room 909, and I turn the corner, and I find room 911. I'm looking for 910. There is no 910. I find 912 all the way up to 920. Okay, so I'm looking around again, and I find a door frame. Okay, like this. Okay, but in the middle of it, there's a light switch, and numbers written on it. Okay, they got rid of room 910. Okay, I call that confirmed. Now here's the interesting bit. You know when somebody's watching you, and you're like, hey, and you turn to meet them, like, hey, stop burrowing holes in my head here. Okay, I felt those kind of eyes on me, so I turned to face those eyes, you know, expecting to see someone standing there like, why are you in my apartment? Okay, the guys moved. Okay, I wasn't being watched. I was being stalked. There's a difference. Okay. I've stared down some horrendous evil in my day. Okay, another story. But I've never been that creeped out in my life. Okay, I was not welcome there. I left quickly. Then I went up to the Capitol, which is our next bit. Okay. Now, the Capitol building here, over in Nashville, is haunted. The guy that built it and the guy that watched him build it are buried on site. Names are William Strickland and Sam Morgan. Okay. Apparently they still fight. The guy that I trained, he actually said, you know, I've actually responded to emergency calls here. And yeah, I've heard it. So apparently these guys fight in the middle of the night. Okay. But that's not what we're going to talk about. Just down from it, on the northeast side of the grounds, is a tomb. It is the tomb of President James Knox Polk. Okay, the guy, let's see, he got cholera when he visited New Orleans. They got him back to Nashville, managed to get him on fluids, and he lingered for about 2 months, and he actually died of severe dehydration and cyanosis caused by the cholera. Okay, so he got buried into a mass grave. A year later, they dug him up, buried him at his house, and then afterwards, they dug him up when somebody bought the house and converted and bulldozed it and turned it into something else. I don't remember what it is now, but there's a marker there. They moved him up to the Capitol, buried him there along with the body of his wife. Okay. Well, people that go there will often see a guy in an antebellum striped suit and a blue face walking around, or kneeling, or kind of looks like he's guarding it. He's over on the northwest pillar of that bit. That's where I've seen him. Okay, and I've actually interacted with the guy. Really nice. I asked him, "Are you dead?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay. So you know?" He said, "Of course I know." "Have you crossed over? Have you gone into heaven?" Because probably a Christian would call it heaven. He said, "Yeah, of course." I was like, "Why are you here?" "Because I don't trust you people. You keep messing with my body." Okay, that's fair. So, yeah, he is guarding it. Nice guy. Okay. So, it took me 2 full months of standing at the tomb going, "Thank you, Mr. President," before he would appear to me. So, yeah. All right, now, honestly, that's about it. If you ever come to Nashville and you want something very interesting, it is on my tour. Go to a church called Downtown Presbyterian. It looks like an Egyptian temple. It's a Christian church. And if you know anything about those two religions, holy crap did they screw up. Okay? If you can get in, get a tour or something like that, just go hang out in the chapel and just kind of listen. The place is haunted, unbelievably. Okay? It is so intense, and that's because of the mishmash of the two religions. They don't go together. Okay? But story for another time. Now, if you're new to the channel, hit that big red subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and be certainly happy to do another ghost story video, by the way. If you want to support me a little bit, go to my websites. Links will be in the description. You can pick up merchandise like this and various other things. Will be shipped directly to you. It's fulfilled by Printful, Cafe Press, and Redbubble. Kind of depends on what you want, depends on how much you want to spend and who you want to support. It all does support me. Okay, it would be a huge help. Okay, so I'll be back later with another set of stories, maybe even something else. So we'll talk to you later, guys. Bye bye.